All right, everybody. Welcome back. It's another live stream. Very excited. This is episode 3 of the live stream. Shout out to everybody who has joined us today. Thank you very much for being here. I am X1 the Gamer. For a lot of you know me from the X1 Bros. A lot of you know me just from this channel. We used to do Vigor on this channel. This is the 3rd live stream. It's something that we're going to start up every single Friday here where we just hang out. We talk games. We talk the news. We go over some of the videos we talked about this week. And we just have fun. Shout out to everybody that's here. I actually have some special guests today. We have an open door policy on this show, so we're going to have a lot of people here to talk to and have fun with. First, I'd like to introduce the one and only. You guys know him as Jordan the Man. Jordan the Man is here because we're going to be talking about World of Warcraft today. Jordan the Man.
Hello.
So we had to have you on as an expert.
Yeah.
So this is Jordan the Man. For those of you that may be introduced to him for the first time, we're brothers. And also, he's a member of the X1 Bros. If you've not checked out the X1 Bros, a link is in the description below. Make sure you go check it out, rather. Also, back by popular request. Well, actually, this is his first time here because this is Jordan's first time here as well. But the one and only Barbara Blake is here. Another friend of the show. Barbara Blake, welcome.
Hola.
Yes, Barbara Blake is here because we're going to be talking Sea of Thieves. And Barbara Blake is an expert. He's like a Sea of Thieves addict. Sea of Thieves is your crack, right?
Recovering. It's been replaced, but I'm a recovering
addict. Absolutely. So welcome everybody that's here in chat. Beast is here, my main man. Wow, it's a wild party now. Thank you very much for being here, Beast. I do have to say, Fitzy is in the house. He says, he's Jordan the Man. Is that where the magic happens?
Yeah.
It is there where the magic happens. Junior the Star is in the house as well. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for hanging out today. Is Barbara Blake Mark's brother? No, but they're longtime friends. They actually went to high school together.
We did.
And fun fact, how we met was I was looking for a barber. I was cutting my own hair years ago. How many years ago now? Like 5 years ago, probably?
At least.
Years. And I was like, I just need a barber. So I looked up a barber and Blake's barbershop showed up and I went, got my hair cut and started talking. And hey, is your cousin Mark? Hey, I know that guy. And that was history.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What game comes up the most in the barbershop that's not brought up by you? Like, is there a game that like is in the zeitgeist of your average dude that comes into the barbershop?
Lately it's been Helldivers because I'm not playing Helldivers, but that's being brought up a lot.
Yeah.
What else is brought up a lot? We cut a lot of elementary school kids, so Minecraft is always top of mind.
Still going strong.
It's never gonna die, right? Those are kind of the one that's brought up by clients, and then I go a little crazy on because it's my current addiction. Is Baldur's Gate 3. I've been talking that like crazy for months now. So
yeah. Baldur's Gate 3. You guys both are playing it. What's your latest, Jordan Man? What's your latest playthrough on Baldur's Gate 3?
Our latest playthrough?
Yeah, what's happening in the world of Baldur's Gate 3?
A lot. That's why that game is so interesting.
Anything crazy?
We got sweet underwear.
Yeah.
What, like magic underwear?
We lit a fireworks shop on fire by kind of accident. Yeah, and it ended up basically blowing up. But it's you could do a lot in that game.
Very nice. Well, let's get into some news and get your guys' takes on this. The first news story that I wanted to talk about is this. This is Derek Strickland over at Tweaktown. It's a website. And he dropped a tweet today just talking about how over on the PlayStation Store, it's basically become the Microsoft Store. So over on PlayStation, here's what he says. Microsoft currently has more games on PlayStation's top 25 bestsellers list than Sony does. This is on PlayStation's own store. He said the list includes 2 Fallout games, 2 first-party Microsoft titles that were previously only available on Xbox consoles. And then obviously shares a screenshot of what it is, and there's the article on it. But crazy that everybody was complaining about the cross-platform stuff, and there was no big deal in my mind, but there's all this internet drama around it, and it looks like the PlayStation Store has basically become the Microsoft Store. Jordan, any thoughts? Thoughts on that?
No, well, we talked about it a while ago. It just goes to show that Microsoft has games that are worth playing.
Yeah.
That in some cases are just as good as PlayStation's games.
Yeah, I think actually it's a misnomer that PlayStation has a lot of better games that are just better. That they just have different games that are very good, but Microsoft dominates in this multiplayer world. We're about to get Sea of Thieves over there, and there's those games haven't exist there, so it's no wonder that they appear in the top sellers list over on that channel. Not to mention, I mean, in fairness, Fallout has done a lot. There's 2 Fallout games over there right now.
Yeah, well, and that's probably due to the popularity of the TV show, but especially Sea of Thieves. That was the top pre-order game for a while over on PlayStation Store.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Barbara Blake, thoughts on Microsoft games over on the PlayStation Store?
Well,
more top 25.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me, just because if you've been a longtime PlayStation player, like I think at this point you've got all the PlayStation games you want, right? And now you're getting this whole new library of games that you're gonna have access to, right? So it kind of makes sense to me that they'd kind of naturally gravitate to the top because they're the new hotness. But I think they're gravitating to the top because they already have a reputation and people know they're good.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like, oh, let's try this out and maybe it's going to be okay. Like they're coming in already having a pedigree, which I think is really helping them out a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Fitzy, by the way, on the note of Fallout, says watched the whole Fallout series and loved it. Made me jump back into Fallout New Vegas. Old game, but man, it's great. Might even do another play through of Fallout 4 after. Yeah, Jordan, you are debating on, do you go Fallout 76? Do you go Fallout 4?
Yeah,
because you're going hard in New Vegas right now.
Yeah, I'm almost done with the New Vegas. I'm coming up to the end of it. I'll actually probably end up beating it tonight, and then I don't know if I want to do Fallout 4 or Fallout 76. So last time I played Fallout 76 was the Wastelanders update, which is when they added all the NPCs and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. The problem with Fallout 76 is I feel like I won't have fun unless I'm playing with people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the cool thing is you can nuke opponents' towns, though. That's cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good time.
So, but they've had tons of updates in Fallout 76. So, it might just be fun to go back and see what's new.
Yeah, no, 100%. Anyways, it's just interesting that and now PlayStation, by the way, remember all the criticism that Microsoft got, all the criticism that Xbox got, everybody freaked out, and now PlayStation's going on PC. PlayStation's bringing their games to PC. It seems like Xbox is leading the way this generation, is particularly with strategy. Where they're not leading the way is with marketing. And it's like, guys, you don't have to take that. You don't have to take the heat. Sony didn't. Why are you?
Yeah.
So let's jump into Sea of Thieves, though. That's why Barbara Blake is here. And I really want to talk about this headline right here. Sea of Thieves, 40 million players ahead of the PS5 launch. Barbara Blake, as a longtime player of Sea of Thieves, first of all, how many hours do you have in Sea of Thieves?
You want to take a stab? I figured it out. You want to take a stab?
Is it okay? I will say more than 500.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. Less, is it under 1,000 or more than 1,000?
It's more than 1,000.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It is. I'm just over. I'm 1,022 hours into that.
Wow. Game. That is impressive. Well done.
And let's see. I actually have them pulled up right now. Do you want to take a stab at how many days you've played this game, David?
I will say 3 days.
Ooh, no, you shortchange yourself, sir.
Oh, did I? Oh, am I over 100 hours?
You're 6 days and 12 hours. So whatever that is.
6 days. Wait, what's 1,000 hours then? How many days is that?
42 days.
Yeah, at the beginning, we dove in hard there, and I started to go for legendary, and then it was like, oh, I can't make it. It was such a grind. I heard the grind's gotten easier though.
It has. It definitely has gotten easier. In fact, I helped Jordan get to legend a few years back now at this point. Something like that. But no, there's just way more options to get to legend than there used to be, and they keep adding more options to get to legend, and you can do different combinations. Like when the game first launched, you just had the 3 factions, right? You had the gold traders, the skeleton fights, and you had the cargo runs, right? Like go pick up the chickens and drop the chickens off or whatever. But now there's like fishing you can do. There's the PvP stuff you can do that can level you up. Because all you have to do is, I don't remember how many there are now. I think there's 5. Maybe I think there's 5 factions now, and you just have to get 3 of those to a level 50, and that's where you get to that legend status. So yeah, they've definitely given you way more options to do it now.
So are you excited about, because what is it? What are we, a week away about for PlayStation players coming into Sea of Thieves? Are you excited for that? You're not excited for it? How are you feeling about that?
I'm excited for it for a couple of reasons. One, I hope it kind of reinvigorates the crews that I sailed with to sail again, because honestly, like, one of the reasons that I stopped playing is, while you can play this game solo and you can learn to have a fun time solo, it's definitely meant to be played with friends, right? Like, that's kind of the bread and butter. But no surprise, you play 1,000 hours, you lose a lot of your crew along the way, right? Like, not very many people are willing to put in that kind of hours. So I'm hoping that selfishly on my end, that'll kind of excite some of the guys I've played with before to play with again. And 2, I'm excited while it's had 40 million players, which is amazing, it seems like the guys that play it now regularly are salty. Like, they're good, like really good. Like, I'm average.
Yeah.
So like, when you're in there and you're trying to get something done, or you're trying to do like the new event or whatever that's going on at the time, the people that you're rolling up on, at least in my experience, are really good, and there's a good chance that you're gonna get sunk, right?
Yeah.
And like, when I played with Jordan with this a lot, what's our saying? That the sea giveth and the sea taketh away.
The sea giveth
Yeah.
and the sea taketh away.
Yeah, because you'll put in. I mean, Jordan and I, like a year ago, we had like a 4-hour session, and we got screwed right at the end, and like it was like we had essentially just wasted 4 hours, and that's a kick in the nuts, you know. So with the influx of new PlayStation players, I'm excited to have new players. Like, I'm not necessarily excited to be like, oh, all they're noobs and I'll just go out and own them or whatever, but like, just their chance to be a more
but you got to
balanced.
admit that is fun.
It is fun, but like, I'm not gonna have to be palm sweaty, every single time I play this game. Like, am I gonna roll up on on my friends list as I was looking through here? Yeah, I've played 42 days. The number one player on my friends list has literally played, let me pull it up here, I want to get it right, 149 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I calculated out a little over 3,000 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3,000 hours. And I feel like those are like a lot of the people that are still in this game, or the people, like, I've got 1,000 hours, which is awesome, but like, I'm nowhere close to 3,000 hours.
So Jordan, you re-downloaded the game, and you're playing. You're like, hey, April 26th. That's the time we sail. What are?
April 30th.
Oh, April 30th is at the time. Yeah. What are you? What are you most looking forward to with the influx of players here?
I don't know. Just, I guess, a lot more activity on the seas. I feel like the past couple times we've logged in. Well, no, I mean, it's still pretty popular. I don't know. It's always exciting when you have a new influx of players coming into the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm excited for, new players, but it'll just be fun. It'll be a good time to get back in the game, because you got all the PlayStation players coming in. You have the new season that'll be launching on that day as well, I believe, that day.
Yeah.
It should be fun. You'll have new events going on. That'll be cool. So I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah, Blake, for anyone that's on the PlayStation that's jumping in for the first time, give me your top 3 tips to play this game. What are some tips you have for some new PlayStation guys who may have never jumped into this before?
Don't worry about story. Like, there's a story to be had there, but don't worry that, like, oh my gosh, I don't know this story that's been going on for I don't even know how many years, because for the first few years there was no story. It was just do your own thing. So like, don't get overwhelmed on like, I don't know who all these NPCs are. I don't know like what all these islands mean, because there have been so many seasons and so many additions to this game now. Like, I could see how you could get overwhelmed really easily. Like, don't worry about being caught up. That's the beauty about this game, right? So like, that's tip number 1. Like, don't worry, it's gonna feel massive, which is
don't worry about feeling behind.
Right. because that's the other beauty of this game, right? Everything's cosmetics. Nothing is power based, right?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best things about this game is like there's going to be new players that have never played before, and their weapons are the same levels as mine, who's been playing for years, right? So you're always on equal footing with that. So honestly, I think that's one of the benefits to this game. The other thing is to kind of go along with that, like just play how you want to play. If there's ever been a sandbox game created, it's this one. It's literally like do what you want. There's no wrong way to play this game. There's not like, oh, you have to go to this section first, or you got to talk to this guy first, or you got to get this weapon first. Like there's none of that. It's literally like you just want to fish all day? Sweet, fish all day. You want to go kill skeletons? Awesome. You want to just sail around and find other pirate ships? Great. Like do whatever you want.
So when I was playing, the last time I played was on the Xbox One. The last time I jumped into Sea of Thieves, so it's been that long that I haven't played it. So I never have experienced it on the Series X. Is it still limited? Because back then it was 4. I think it was 4 ships in an instance. Is that the same? Has that increased? Do you know?
It's more than that. I always forget if it's 5 or 6. I should know, but I always forget.
And they added the mode where you can play by yourself, right?
They did add a safer seas. You cannot become a legend in safer seas. You level cap at 40 there, and the money and the experience you get is limited.
Yeah.
But like it. I mean, if you're really worried, like if you want kind of like a tutorial zone where you can just kind of play and not worry about an expert player coming and ruining your night, that's a good place to get your feet wet. The other thing I wanted to kind of bring up, and Jordan was talking about this a little bit, with the influx of players, I feel like where it's going to really revitalize this game is they added. So if you remember years ago, they added like a whole PvP section of the game. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that? Where it was like, hey, go over here for the adventure, go over here for the PvP. Yeah. That turned out to be kind of a disaster because at the time, all of the problems that were happening in the game were only in that PvP server or game mode, right? Which, surprise, it's a PvP server.
Yeah.
So they got rid of it. But what they did is they incorporated, it's essentially hourglasses, where they incorporated kind of PvP arenas inside the game. And it's supposed to be skill-based matchmaking. Like, okay, I'm going to be for essentially the good guys, and then there's the bad guys, depending upon how you look at it. And you flip over your hourglass, and then you dive underwater. It's actually a really cool animation, and it starts searching to matchmake you with another ship that's exactly like yours. So same ship size, cool. Same crew number, right? And it's supposed to be roughly same skill level based on how many wins you've had. What was kind of happening is that was getting harder to be skill-based matchmake, especially the higher up you got. Because it, like everything in this game, it's a grind. You want to get to level 100, and then there's a whole bunch of cosmetics and cool stuff that happens. Mm-hmm. And my experience in talking to my son, who really plays this game a ton, and a few other people, like that was getting difficult to get that matchmaking. So I'm stoked for the PlayStation players to hopefully influx with that and make that matchmaking a lot easier.
Yeah. Jordan, how would you recommend someone play this game? Do you recommend going in and being a spoiler and trying to attack other ships? Do you recommend doing your own thing? How do you enjoy this game the most?
I honestly, it's really just depends on what you want to do. So
depends on your mood.
Yeah, because they've added there's a lot more than when the game first launched. Like Blake was saying, we only had the 3 factions. Now you have more than 3 factions. I think you have 6 or 7 now.
Yeah.
But you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can log in and just immediately start doing the tall tales if you want, and they'll put you in your own instance. You can log in and just sail around, figure out how to sail your ship. You can log in and do, forts, PvP. I mean, it's literally a world where you're a pirate and you just do what you want.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's its strength.
It's its charm.
Is you can do whatever you want. It kind of caters to everybody. PvP, PvE. Rating kind of in certain scenarios. You could do what are they called, Blake? They like the big tornadoes and you have captain bosses and stuff and so you can kind of even quote unquote raid if you want to. It's just you and your crew can go up against higher level NPCs and earn loot that way, and it's just
there is actually a raid component too, because there are in-game achievements and accommodations where it's take down one of these world events while allied with another crew, right? So it does become a raid, right? And so it's I never thought about it as a raid, but you're right, that's what it turns into.
So do you think Sea of Thieves is an underrated game, overrated game, or rated correctly?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I think it's rated correctly. There's not a lot of people that are, you know, slamming it for no reason or don't have good criticisms of it. You know, not that I've seen. Right?
Has
I
it
mean,
gotten
I think
the credit that it deserves, though? Do you think, or do you think that maybe now with PlayStation it may get?
I think
publicity?
over the course of the years as they added updates, it has. Because remember, if you remember when it launched, I mean, there was stuff to do, but compared to now, it was very minimal.
Well, when it launched, it was literally just sandbox. There's a few things to do. It was fun to sell around with your friends, but also it was the first time that any of these types of games where there wasn't distinct missions. I mean, there was like a mission system, but it wasn't like Skull and Bones where like it's very linear. It's much more linear. That was kind of the norm. This was the first time that it was done where it's just left wide open for you. So I don't think a lot of players really understood it, but it was good even then. And then streamers picked it up, started role playing with it, and just having fun, the kind of fun that we would have where, hey, let's just get this guy before he can take his loot back to the island there. And you jump off the ship, or you're being chased. Someone jumps off the ship and goes and sneaks onto the other ship that's chasing them and blows it up or something. That kind of stuff, I think, got pushed to the forefront with some big streamers. And that's when the game really took off. But I don't know. I don't know if it's rated correctly yet, because just watching this, and it's like, man, I kind of want to jump in. I want to jump in and play it. I haven't given this game a second thought in years. I mean, since the Xbox One.
Yeah.
I think it's rated correctly for people who know about it. It's going to sound weird, but even though they've had 40 million players, I feel like a lot of people still don't know about this game.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you guys know, the guys watching don't, but like in my barber shop, I've got that TV there, right? And I stream Sea of Thieves in the baseball off season because baseball. But I get guys in all the time and kids like, what are you streaming? Like, what game is this? You know?
Yeah.
And so even though it's had 40 million players, I feel like it's still somehow under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, maybe it's not hit that mainstream consciousness that like a Fortnite or a Minecraft. I mean, granted, those numbers aren't even comparable, but
right. But I also feel like it's a completely different experience playing solo versus playing with your friends. I going back to your earlier thing, I was thinking about it. I think my biggest suggestion would be, when you jump into this game, jump in with friends immediately. Don't jump in solo. It's way more fun with friends. Like when you're figuring things out together and how to sail the ship and fighting other crews and stuff, like having a friend is going to be way better than trying to take this on solo. Honestly, it took me a couple of years before I was comfortable having fun solo in this game. I have fun solo in it now, but for the first few years, if I didn't have friends to play with, like, it wasn't fun for me.
Yeah, here's a question from Fitzy Jordan. This one's for you. Do you think with it being in Sony now and the influx of not just players but money, that Sea of Thieves will now be dropped, that Rare will drop more and more content, or will they stay the course and it'll be the same cadence that we've gotten to this point?
Well, I'm sure it'll be the same cadence. What I think we'll get is more Tall Tales. I think that's like their big update. So we had the initial set of Tall Tales, which, what was there, like 9 of them?
Yeah.
Which is just it basically just the story of Sea of Thieves. So it's someone called Captain Flameheart, and you kind of go through that's kind of the overarching story, and then there's a few side stories in there that's just the Sea of Thieves story. Then they came out with the Captain Jack Sparrow, right? Pirates of the Caribbean, the Disney one. And recently, which I think was super fun, they came out with the Monkey Island Tall Tales.
Yeah, throwback.
So I think they'll do more of that. Because I think
all those, like Monkey Island, Pirates of the, those are brand deals, so those cost money to do.
It's a seasonal game, right? It's a live service game, so every roughly 3 to 4 months, give or take, you'll get a new season. And with the new season, that's usually when they introduce new thing. Like this season, is it this season, Blake, where they introduced the, I guess we can call it fast traveling or the underwater stuff. They introduced new features, or was that last season?
Yeah, I keep forgetting that's the thing. Yeah, they did. They introduced it.
Yeah, that was this season. It was almost
sort
like
of a fast travel.
Yeah, it's kind of a fast travel. It's basically a quick start, not really a fast travel, but
it's a starting point,
that's more of a quality of life thing. But they do introduce features like that during the season, so I think that'll all stay the same. What I think we'll see more of, especially if the game gains popularity, is more themed tall tales like Pirates of the Caribbean or Monkey Island, which I think, this is personal bias, I actually think Monkey Island is probably the best of the three.
Oh, really? So what were the three names? Because Pirates, Monkey Island, what's the other one?
Just the base Sea of Thieves.
Oh, the base one. Okay.
They tell the story of the Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Which in this new, I think when the PlayStation players launch, if I remember, I was watching or reading something about it. I actually think they're going to pick back up the Flameheart story, which I'm excited about, because they kind of, if you remember right, they left that when we finished that last Tall Tale. They kind of left it on a cliffhanger thing.
We'll probably get more world events. There was a really cool world event, and I like when games do this. Is there was a character by the name of Merrick, and we basically, the way the whole story worked out is we essentially got to vote on creating a new island or not, and you had to do in-game quests to kind of cast your vote.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway, Blake can probably explain it better, but then we have a new island because of it. So I think they'll do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
The maps evolve. That's what's actually really cool. They've taken a lot of feedback from their community over the years and done events like that where you will have essentially two factions, and by completing the quest for one faction or the other, every time you complete it, it counts as a vote, and they have however many days, it's 14 days or whatever, for the community to do these events. And then at the end, whatever event got completed more, that becomes the winner. And then that's the way the story of the game goes. And then the map changes, and it's actually really cool.
Yeah, that sounds, let me ask you, Jordan, this is a loaded question here. Someone who maybe jumped into Sea of Thieves and is like, or not Sea of Thieves, Skull and Bones.
Sea of Thieves is by far the better game.
Okay,
like it's not even. It's not even. I've played I've played Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones is. We can get into it. I don't think Skull and Bones is like a terrible bad game, but it's definitely not a great game. It's just it's you could tell that Skull and Bones went through multiple studios, went through multiple transitions of what it wanted to be, and I think that's to its downfalls. Sea of Thieves is the better pirate game.
Yeah.
And what sets it apart, what sets Sea of Thieves apart from Skull and Bones especially, is the way you sail your boat, how you have to use the wind, the anchor, you steer, you have someone steering, you use the sails. Like Sea of Thieves is very unique in the way you sail your boat.
Yeah.
Skull and Bones doesn't have that uniqueness. Skull and Bones has
press A.
Yeah, Skull and Bones doesn't have that uniqueness, so it kind of...
Well, you're not really on the ship in Skull and Bones. You are the ship.
Yeah, you are the ship, which is kind of like, okay, so I'm a ship, not a pirate.
Yeah.
And then like there's a whole... It's just the way they do their gathering. It's just...
Okay,
Sea of Thieves can be tedious, because I'm going to say Skull and Bones is tedious. But you notice Skull and Bones tediousness much more often than you do in Sea of Thieves.
So let me ask you this. Because when I just jumped into the demo of Skull and Bones, or the beta, or that open weekend, remember that? And what I did notice is I did think they did their they had really cool cosmetics. What about cosmetics in Sea of Thieves? What is that like? Like the pets, the pals? Is there enough carrot on the stick there to keep you going for those things? Could they use some work?
Oh, yeah.
Is it good? Is it not good? What do you think?
There's tons of stuff. There's console specific stuff, which will actually be interesting because we have an Xbox ship, and I think we have a Halo ship. I wonder if we're gonna get some PlayStation themed ships,
a Kratos ship.
I mean that would be cool. But there is a lot of cosmetics that are earnable. I get the purpose of a season pass, and I understand it. I'm a little bit. Sometimes I get frustrated when there's really cool cosmetics in the season pass because I wish I wish it was earnable. I mean, it technically is, but anyway, that's just the usual season pass, battle pass stuff. But in Sea of Thieves, I will say there is just as cool cosmetics earnable only through in-game grinding and through season passes.
And what's the season pass like? Like, what is it about the season pass that you don't like necessarily, or you think that it's just not as great?
Just that to be fair, there's only been like 2 or 3 seasons where the cosmetics were actually really cool, and it's like, shoot, now I got to buy the pass to get.
I see
how it. I don't know how it is this season necessarily, but a couple seasons ago when we were playing it pretty hard, they basically gave you a whole ship set throughout the season, throughout the battle pass.
They do that every season.
Yeah.
If you get to the end of it, you will get a complete ship and costume set.
Now,
so it's worth your money.
With it being cosmetic, I mean, the art is up for interpretation. So there has been seasons where I'm like, I could care less about that, and then
all right, well. Barbara Blake, closing thoughts on Sea of Thieves. Who's going to enjoy this game from PlayStation?
Who's going to enjoy this game?
And what type of player enjoys this game?
I think the player that's looking for something different. I feel like if you're burned out of like the online multiplayer games you're playing with your friends or shooters, because I feel like that's where most people just play with their friends. If you're wanting to play something different with your friends, this is it. Right.
Yeah.
If you're tired of the Call of Duties, if you're tired of, the Apexes, if you're tired of all, the Battle Royale stuff, if you're burned out on that and you have a group of friends that's looking for something new, this is it.
Yeah, I think that's like a good palate cleanser for sure. I agree with that. Fitzy, is this video running at 2 times speed? So fun fact, I think it was running at 1.75 because I listened to some podcasts at that speed and I just realized, oh yeah, he was going around. I mean, he was clearly on PC, number one, but he was flying. So for sure, anybody that's here new, welcome to the live stream, X1 the Gamer. You've probably seen my videos. Thank you for being here. If you'd like to support the show, we have a member. You just hit the join button below, become a member, get that X badge that's right there next to you. If you look at Fitzy's, he's got his leveled up, so he's got a Master Chief on it. The purple one looks so good. Thank you to everybody who has supported the show. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Let's jump into some Halo. So we had the president of Activision Blizzard, not Halo, Warcraft. World of Warcraft is what I'm going to jump into. We had the president of World of Warcraft do an interview with VGC and talk about how, they talk about bringing it to console, and they have talked about bringing it to console, and they're talking about bringing it to console. Jordan the man, for it, against it, what do you think? You're a big World of Warcraft guy.
Yeah, well, of course I'm for it, and I mean, I think most people should be for it. There is some logistical issues that you have to work out, but no, yeah, I mean, the more places you can put a game, the better.
Yeah.
So especially in an MMO, it only benefits you. The more players you get, it's healthier for the game. It's better overall for the community. So yes, Holly Longdale had that interview, and they talked about, they said, we haven't rolled it out. We're thinking about it, and they're now Microsoft. So I'm sure it's not the first time it's been brought up. So will it be the last?
I think it's inevitable. Do you agree with me, or am I crazy?
I think there is a lot of potential and a lot of untapped market to bring it to the console. There's a lot of people that I know, you guys included, that would play it if it came to the console. Because I know we'll get into that argument. I think there was someone in chat earlier, like, oh, PC's better, whatever. Like, everybody plays on their own devices, right?
Sure.
And the more places you can play a game like World of Warcraft, the better for the overall community, right? I mean, the point of an MMO is massively multiplayer online, right? Yeah. I mean, you want to see these zones populated while leveling. It makes the game feel and play better.
100%. Does vanilla come? Does standard? Does traditional come? What comes first? Does it all come?
I mean, yeah. What do you do? There's what is there, like 4 versions of Warcraft right now? No, there's 3. There's WoW Classic.
So if you were
4. Yeah, there's.
If
WoW
you were
Classic.
God of the world that is Warcraft, which one do you bring to console first, and why?
I mean, you probably have to bring retail to console first, because it's I don't know. Retail's probably, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough question because you have so many different versions. So I mean, I keep forgetting about that because you have classic WoW, like just pure classic, which by the way is, I believe, one of the greatest MMOs ever created. Classic WoW.
I mean,
1 through
that's the
60, World of
only
Warcraft.
that's the only one I've played.
Yeah,
I've never played retail because I feel
and
so far behind. And when vanilla dropped, when classic WoW dropped, I dropped with it, and it was a blast. It holds up. You know, we talk about going back to Fallout New Vegas. These old games hold up. Good games hold up, and I think World of Warcraft Classic holds up.
Yeah, and I mean, we could talk for hours of why it is probably the best MMO ever made, World of Warcraft Classic. But so there's World of Warcraft Classic. There is World of Warcraft Classic Wrath of the Lich King, which will be Classic Cataclysm. So that's 2 versions. And then you have World of Warcraft Retail, and then you have kind of the current hot thing, which is World of Warcraft Season of Discovery, which is their seasonal World of Warcraft, which is basically classic, but they've added new stuff to it. So it's classic with new stuff.
Classic Plus.
Yeah, it's Classic Plus, which is what people have kind of been asking for and wanting for. So, but it's doing really well. I mean, Blizzard has made a few mistakes on it, I think, but I think the Classic team is doing really well with it, and
Blake,
it's been
as someone who's never played. Have you played an MMO, Blake? I mean, I guess it's okay. Does Sea of Thieves count as an MMO? It kind of is. It's not a traditional MMO.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive player base, but you're never in it with more than, I don't know, 20 pirates at the most.
Yeah.
So
it coming to console, does that do anything for you?
I mean, I would definitely be more willing to give it a shot. My hesitancy on it is like the exact opposite of Sea of Thieves. Is like I just worry that like I'm going to be so far behind because these players like Jordan who've been playing forever and have all the gear, all the stuff, all the everything, right?
Yeah.
But I would be willing to give it a shot because I mean, I'm a console gamer, right? I have a gaming PC, but it just collects dust. I'm a console guy.
Yeah. Yeah, Jordan, you were to say something?
And I'm saying that's part of the reason I think Classic is the best MMO ever made because like what you just said, Blake, is true. Like, especially if you jump into retail, it's like, oh shoot, okay, I got to level up, and then you're prompted to like, okay, I'll buy a level boost, and then you got to go through all of this, the dungeons, the gear. Like, if I see that feeling for a lot of new players with retail because the onboarding experience in retail it's not great. They added a new like 1 to 15 island that's pretty fun, but like from that point onward, it's not that great.
Yeah.
What's great about World of Warcraft Classic and Classic servers is the game is literally about the world. It's not about end game, right? Retail is about end game, right? Whenever a new expansion comes out, you level in a day or two and you get to end game. That is the primary focus of retail is end game. Blizzard is trying to make changes to that with different features they're adding into the new expansion. But what's so great about Classic WoW, it's about level 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3, and then 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5, and that's it's so good.
Yeah,
and that's I love when new players come in and play Classic WoW and get that feeling for the first time, and it's almost beautiful in its design, like how it works.
Yeah, here's a question for you. Reactor Leak. Does it have to be connected to PC players, or could it be a standalone console server and still work in your mind?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think
you
got to
wouldn't even do
ESO, Final Fantasy route. You can't. The reason you would do it is to expand your world and your player base, not to segment them.
Yeah, ESO does that. And I'm not knocking on ESO. I like ESO, but that's one of my things I wish they would change. I wish they would bring all 3 communities together into one big server rather than Xbox, PlayStation, and PC.
Yeah. Real quick, before we have this poll up, I do want to just address Diridin. Diridin, thank you for being here, my man. He says it's wild how Fallout has exploded once again and people finding out that they're all on Game Pass. Yeah, I think it's been huge. It's this cultural moment that we've talked. Blake, have you watched Fallout?
No.
Oh man, dude, it's so good. Binged watched it last weekend. it will make you want to play Fallout. And it's this huge cultural moment. Super excited for it. I dropped a poll this week on my channel. What do you think about World of Warcraft coming to Xbox? 67%. It's about time. Can't wait to play. Number 2 says need more info before I could decide at 14%. That's fine. Only 11% said not interested. WoW should stay on PC. Those guys are losers. Just saying. Some of the comments, I play both Xbox and PC. Long live Microsoft. Amen. He says, if I can get a discount on the cost through Game Pass, it could be interesting. Don't think it's been confirmed for Xbox yet, though. It hasn't, but I'm of the opinion that once that deal was signed, Activision Blizzard, Microsoft, that it became inevitable and is inevitable that Warcraft is coming to Xbox. But this is a good question for you, Jordan. Do you, if you're Warcraft or Xbox, do you bundle in your subscription somehow with Game Pass? Because there's 2 thoughts. One, brings a lot of eyeballs to Game Pass if you do that. But at the sacrifice of losing standalone subscriptions from Warcraft, which is its economic model at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, that would be really cool if they were just like, hey, if you're a Game Pass Ultimate member, World of Warcraft subscription is included. That would be huge. But the problem is I don't know, like right now you're getting money from both parties.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, if you combine them, you would lose, let's just say, half of that revenue. I mean, is it worth it to lose half the revenue for the amount of people that would come to Xbox? I mean, I don't know. I think what they could do is maybe keep the subscription model, but just put the games themselves in Game Pass.
Yeah,
but see, then you're still paying for 2.
Well, what is because I think Final Fantasy Online
there's a lot of logistical problems.
Don't you think Final Fantasy Online is doing a good job of it though? Because technically it's in Game Pass, and you get
kind of in Game Pass. Well, no, it's on the Game Pass rewards, isn't it? Like it's not in Game Pass.
Oh, I think you're right.
But Final Fantasy has a ginormous free trial, so it doesn't really need to be in Game Pass.
But don't you think you could do that with Game Pass? So like you get a free trial in Game Pass that you don't get right now necessarily, and then you go subscription.
Can I jump in? I don't know much about this, but as an outsider, okay, trying to entice me into play as someone who's never played before, because I know there's a subscription model to it. I'd like to see. I get that they still need to have their subscription model be like, hey, okay, if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, your World of Warcraft subscription is half off.
Or I think you could do that probably.
Like somehow give them a bonus.
Like I get a discount for being, and it can't be something stupid like, ooh, you get 10% off, because like who cares if I'm saving $1 a month, right? Or whatever whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
But if it was something substantial, like you get at least 30% off. But I'd like to see, okay, I'm paying Microsoft to be part of this, not just regular Game Pass, but if I'm a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, I get half off my World of Warcraft subscription.
Yeah, it would have to be Ultimate for sure. Yeah, that's not bad. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to do anything with Game Pass. And they might not long term. It might, because it might just not make sense economically. Yeah. But it is interesting. Delusional Grandeur, thank you for that comment. We got more. Scott Free says, this is on the question, what do you think about World of Warcraft coming to Xbox? He says, I could care less. If I like PC games, I would have bought a PC long ago. But this just begs the question, why not just get a PC and Game Pass? Because I play on console and I like PC games. And if I could have it also on console, then I'm going to do it. That's why. That's why Mr. Scott Free. Veli 2G says WoW is a 20-year-old game. If they want a surge of new players, just make WoW 2.
Yeah, and that's
that is funny.
I think they could. Yeah, I would like to see some of that too, because there's a lot of things I would like to change.
Yeah, what would you? Number one thing, give it to me.
0 add-ons.
Oh, you think they'll go? You think they'll?
And I actually think that's one of the big issues, big logistical issues to bring it to console.
Yeah, why?
Because with add-ons, if you want to play at a higher level, like in some of these higher end raids or mythic dungeons, which is like top tier content, you have to have add-ons, and you can't sit here and say, well, the game at that level is designed around add-ons, which I think is a problem. And you can't say it's not, like just the way Deadly Boss Mods works, which is a add-on that basically tells you what to do during a boss fight. There's another add-on called Weak Auras that tells you about some of your like it's if you want to play the game at a higher competitive level, and I would even say at a general level, just for normal raids and even like Raid Finder, it's basically a requirement to have add-ons, which I think is a big mistake. I think I wish they could change it, but I understand Blizzard's in a tough position. They can't just cut them off tomorrow.
Yeah, you're so far in.
Because the problem is one, you would need to bring some of these add-ons are really good. You need to bring some of these add-ons and incorporate them into the game, which I think they can do. But you would also need to fund it, because people will hear me say like, "Oh, World of Warcraft needs to get rid of add-ons," and like the first thing they'll say, "Well, then how do you do this? How do you do like?" Because the game currently right now is designed around add-ons, you need to change the way the game is designed and then get rid of add-ons. Like if you were to just get rid of add-ons today, there would be huge issues, especially in higher tier content. You have to fundamentally redesign how you do some of that end game content or some of that higher tier content, and then get rid of add-ons. And there's a lot of people are split on the fence. I know a couple of YouTubers I watched are really into the RP servers, and there's some really cool RP add-ons that are really fun. Again, like high tier content with like Weak Auras and Deadly Boss mods, and like, let me give you an example. Weak Auras is an add-on where you basically have to program things. World First Guilds hire someone specifically to do a job of programming Weak Auras for the players. Like it's your average user is not going to go download a Weak Aura and set it all up. You know what I mean? It's complicated. And I think it's, in my opinion, more of a detriment to the game than not. And look, don't get me wrong. When I play World of Warcraft, even when I play Classic, I use add-ons, because in Classic, a good handful of my add-ons are quality of life, which I think Blizzard can put into the game anyway. But I mean, I use add-ons because it's a requirement. But I would like to see them. I don't know how you would incorporate add-ons on the Xbox. Maybe you could do something like how like Bethesda does their mods on the console, but then you run into another logistical issues, because I know PlayStation is more restrictive with their mods in a game like Fallout 4 than Xbox is. So you have the same issue. It's just, I would love to see the game come to console. I think the game can be put on console. If you think it can't because of the way it's not there's no interface issues, there's nothing that is keeping it from console other than the basically unsaid rule of add-ons are required. Because UI doesn't matter. They have, look at Final Fantasy 14 just let you customize your entire UI, which in the latest expansion Dragonflight, WoW came out with their own customization. Sure, it still misses a few things that some of these other add-ons had, but you can customize your whole UI. People are like, well, how are you going to do it to a controller? Final Fantasy's controller scheme is perfect the way they do their bars and their keys. It is fully possible to do it, and you can do it and still play very well. The problem is the add-ons. Blizzard needs to figure out something with add-ons. In my opinion, I think you should get rid of add-ons, but in order to do that, you'd have to redesign how the end game works and stuff like that, like how raids and mechanics and everything work. But
Blake, you were going to say something?
I was going to say, as someone who's never played before, when I've heard Jordan talk about this before, add-ons are completely intimidating to me, and like that alone is like, I'm not even going to touch this until that's gone, because that's not how I play. I hear about I have to buy a game and then I've got to go to third-party add-on stuff, and there's people that have been able to program things to do things that I don't understand. Like, I'm out.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people like that. I mean, there's, and then you'll have the argument, oh, well, it's easy. All you do is download, Curse, and then you do this and that and that. I mean, people don't want to do that.
This guy doesn't.
So sometimes, and again, that's actually why Fallout 4 and Bethesda's system, at least on the Xbox, I know there's been some issues on the PlayStation, but at least on the Xbox, and it is still limiting to a factor, but it makes downloading mods easy because Bethesda does it through their game, through their whatever it's called, Bethesda.net. And it's all from the main menu. You say, Like you go into Fallout and you're like, I want to download a Modern Warfare pack to give me cool looking guns. You just go download it. It's a button away, right?
Yeah.
Can World of Warcraft do something like that on the console? I don't know, but I honestly think until they figure out that issue, it can't come to console.
Yeah. So Fitzy says what you're saying, Jordan, is that you're a cheater when you play WoW by having special add-ons.
yeah, everybody is. Yeah, like I'm not even kidding. And this, it's just the way the game's gotten. But the Deadly Boss mod literally tells you what to do in the fight, which, I mean, kind of, and I get it. Like people that want to play hardcore and want to go for speed runs and worlds first, I get that that's useful to them, but I just think it'd be better for the overall health of the game if those weren't there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Very half. I don't know. It feels like the player base is split half and half. So I mean, there's a lot of people that disagree with that.
What's interesting, moving on it from World of Warcraft again, I do want to reiterate. I think it's inevitable that it's coming. I think once that deal was like, why would you keep, especially in an era where Xbox is trying to get people on Game Pass? World of Warcraft is the top dog MMO to this day. Like it's one of the biggest games of all time. Why would you not put that on Game Pass in some manner or incentivize eyeballs on Game Pass? I think it's inevitable that it comes. I think it's one of the reasons that they went and got Activision Blizzard was that in Call of Duty, two huge games. I mean, all of the Bethesda games, not Bethesda, sorry, Blizzard and Activision games, a lot of them there. But I think World of Warcraft is huge for them 100%. What's interesting, breaking news today, about 5 hours ago, Droidmaster brought this up. And Jordan, did you ever play Little Big Planet?
The first one. What was it, PlayStation 3?
I mean, it's a PlayStation staple. It's on the PlayStation commercials, like when they sell the game. So Droidmaster says, I heard Sony has closed Little Big Planet 3 servers for forever. They did remove them from the PlayStation 4. It had been down for a while due to technical difficulties. And today Sony came out and announced that we're closing them indefinitely due to technical difficulties. So I don't know what that's big. Like what happens there?
Well, I don't think it was technical difficulties. I think really. I mean, I think that's very convenient that happened for them. I think they look at the numbers and they look at the cost of running it and they say, hey, let's just, it's not worth it. Right now, is that sad? Yeah, of course it is. I mean, but I don't think it was technical issues. For example, if Call of Duty
money.
That's usually If Call of Duty had technical issues, do you think that server would go down forever? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. No, they would. They would fix that tomorrow. Jonas Jerner says, "Can a Bridge of Spirits not coming to XCloud and Game Pass? It's not. It's PlayStation exclusive, and that is one that does look good. You got to give them credit. That's one that you guys remember that one. It's here. Let's pull it up here real quick.
Can you going back to the old thing, can you still play Little Big Planet like single player, or does it require an online connection?
I would imagine it.
I mean, like I said, I've played very little of the first one when it came out on PlayStation 3.
I remember when this dropped. So this is Kenna Bridge of Spirits that is not yet coming. Oh, that's the guy talking about it. I just wanted to see gameplay. Who's that guy? There you go. So I remember that. Yeah, it has that cool like Pixar art style that I like. So again, presentation matters here, and I think that they nailed presentation on this. But yeah, not coming, definitely not coming to Game Pass or XCloud, to my understanding. Someone in chat can correct me if I'm wrong there. But let's talk about Fallout. We dropped this poll over this week because at the beginning of the week, I talked a lot about Fallout and how it's getting a bump everywhere on all the games everywhere, all the Fallout games. I mean, we saw it in the PlayStation store at the beginning of the show here that 2 Fallout games are in the top 25 sellers right now over on PlayStation. And it's due to
which 2 are they?
76
4 and 76. Yeah.
Now I jumped into New Vegas. Jordan, you're in New Vegas as well. Back into it, and you're debating 4 or 76 too. Watching 4, I kind of want to, because I stopped playing. Well, I don't have that much time in it, but once I could start building, that's when I stopped playing that game because the building is really cool. But I should jump into the story.
When it's basically that game is going to hold me over until I mean, I don't know whether it's 76 or Fallout 4. It's probably going to be Fallout 4 because I haven't played the Far Harbor DLC, and everybody says that expansion is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm playing. I think I'm going to play that until we talked about this yesterday. Until the Fallout London mod comes out, which is basically a new game, which I'm incredibly excited for.
With that delay, when was it delayed to the Fallout London?
Well, so because of the new update, it's gonna the way mods work is every time an update comes out for the base game, it'll break mods because there's new stuff implemented and it breaks the mod. So they have to go the original creators, who most of them are volunteers and they just do it for fun, have to come back in and fix it. From what I understand, and what for I think it's the team, they're called Team Folo. It's going to break the Fallout script extender, which is like the mod that everybody needs to mod.
Yeah.
So they don't know, just as long as it takes for the creators to fix it. But
so this is gameplay of Fallout.
Yeah,
London.
Yeah. This is how you start. Yeah, it takes place fully in London. They say it's the size of the Commonwealth in Fallout 4 and Far Harbor kind of put together. And they showed a map, and it's really cool. Seeing David, you've been to London, seeing the London River, Houses of Parliament and Big Ben looks like it's being turned into like kind of this fortress, and like the way, anyway, it looks really cool. They've got trains and travel and boats, and
this is the power of mod. I think this is the future. I think in 10 years, I mean, look at Skyrim. Skyrim is still top selling, and it released in what, 2000? Was that 2008? Was that 2010? No, that was like 2011. It was like later. And it's still top selling, but the modding community there keeps that game alive. But that's their plan for Starfield as well.
This is an entire new game, like Fallout London. The only bummer is it's only available on PC. I think the way modding works is you have to be a certain size or something. I don't know what the rules are, but it can't be on console. It definitely can't be on PlayStation, because I know PlayStation has stricter stuff than Xbox
now, but possibly in the future, because of the way, for instance, Starfield's built from the ground up for mods, even console. Like it's they're trying to have parity there between the three with Starfield.
Yeah. Now I don't know what it's like on the back end, because I know they're using like the creation tools. So I don't know if like this game could be on the console. It's just a restriction of the console, because it's not like it's in the same engine. So it's not like the console can't run. I mean, maybe I don't know the intricacies of the mod. I just know it's not coming to the console, which is a bummer, because I know there's a big console base, both PlayStation and Xbox, that are jumping back into Fallout now. Blake, surprisingly, you liking Starfield, which I'll be honest was a surprise, because you were so not into it.
I was surprised too.
I think you would actually really enjoy Fallout 4 specifically. Yep. It's a little bit different than 3 in New Vegas, but I think Fallout 4 you would enjoy more than Starfield. I mean, I know we've talked about Starfield, and I know we agree on a lot of the, I guess we can call them criticisms and stuff that we have of it. But I think you would enjoy Fallout 4, specifically 4, more than you would Starfield.
Well, see, I'm interested in a little bit in playing, because like I've told you guys this, like I don't know how I got 100 hours into Starfield, because I was like, I don't know why I like this game, but I keep playing it.
Well, you were doing,
I don't know why.
It's the Bethesda catch. You were doing stuff that Bethesda's so good at. You were collecting stuffed animals and throwing them on your bed. And like stuff like that, I think it's the same reason you like Sea of Thieves. You can do what you want when you want, and there's that option in this fully fleshed out world, and Fallout has that.
Yeah, Fallout has that. Starfield, I'm gonna say this. I think
give it to me.
Okay, I don't think Starfield's
disagree.
Yeah, I don't think Starfield's a bad game by any means. I don't think it's Bethesda's best game. I think they took
I don't disagree with that. Yeah,
I think they took some chances. Yeah, I think there's some chances they took, and those didn't work out.
That's where we disagree.
I think
you're wrong.
Fallout 4. I think there's things, especially RPG wise, that Fallout 3 and New Vegas do better than Fallout 4.
Yeah.
But I think Fallout 4 is a better game than Starfield. And that is specifically because it is one curated world, and you get that full
I will. Yeah, you do
Bethesda
get-
is at its best when they create their content. The problem with Starfield is I feel it was too big. There was too much
Yeah,
procedurally
okay.
generated stuff. There's
So I don't disagree with that part, but what I disagree with is saying that they failed. They failed because I don't think
I didn't say
we've-
they failed. I said it didn't work out.
It didn't work out. Okay, so same difference in my mind. But saying it didn't work out, I think we're too early to see that because they've built this game for. It's like we have 1.0. What does it look like when this game was built with this idea of expansions in mind and mods and missions and supporting it all from the beginning? Now Bethesda has never done that with the game before. Like mods came in after the fact. What does this game become? What does Starfield look like in 3 years, in 4 years, in 2 years, even?
Well,
With the infrastructure there from the beginning, with it being planned from the beginning, I think it's going to be set up to be huge. I think
maybe.
Can I jump in on this really quick? As someone who played it and didn't think they'd like it, it kind of goes back to the World of Warcraft thing. Like the mod stuff is like, don't tell me that. Like, just Bethesda, take care of this game. Like, I don't want it to be outsourced to the community, right? Like, that's
that's the future because you basically take the global mind and allow them to continuously add to your dude. Look at those rants, man. That's so cool, dude. That's cool. But this look at this. This is a full-on experience. This is a full new world. This is
new game.
This is a full new game in Fallout 4 in London. Fallout doesn't take place in the UK. Fallout is US centric on the East Coast for Fallout 4.
Yeah. Well,
and that's Starfield, and that's why I think those planets are set up the way that they're set up. Like, imagine what planets look like then.
Yeah,
imagine
but
what
I mean,
civilizations
you're talking
look like. Imagine what the cities look like, what they become
because of how big the world is. I mean, you're not just gonna like mod for a week and the entire universe is populated.
No.
You
But
know what I mean, like,
you're not only that they're funding. They have creator funds set up for it. It's just, to me, I think we see the foundation, and the foundation is very solid.
Well,
and I think what comes next is going to be fascinating, and it may not work out. And if it doesn't work out, at that point, I'll say, okay, Jordan, you were right. But I think it's set up to be something special.
I think the way Bethesda does it, and we're still waiting on the console stuff because, as I understand, you can't. There's no mods. There is mods on the PC right now through like, if you use like Cyclone or anything like that, right? All that
that's going to be all handled through their native.
Yeah, through their stuff. That is great, and I love that they have that in Fallout 4, and I hope they do expand those tools in Fallout, in Starfield, because like I said, this game or this mod, Fallout London, which is probably the biggest mod coming to Fallout 4, cannot be on console because of
the size.
I think it's the size. I know there's something
successful enough, it will.
But I do give credit where credit is due. Bethesda has done an awesome job letting these mods come to the console, which is great. And they do the way they do it. And for someone like you, Blake, and even like me, because it's just simple. You just go mod, you find what mod you want, you click A on your controller, and it puts it in.
Yeah.
It creates a separate save called a modded save because I don't think they let you get achievements.
You want to wreck your game.
Yeah, they don't let you get achievements, which, in my opinion, who cares, let them get them.
Now, what are both of your thoughts on this, Jonas Jerner? Hey, thank you for being here, Jonas, by the way. Bethesda must switch to new graphic engine. Creation Engine 2 is too bad, looks old, and have extreme lots of loading time. The new graphic engine, it just doesn't have the graphics that other games have.
That was one of my biggest criticisms when I played Starfield. I was like, this is fun somehow. I'm not sure. Stuffed animals got me somehow. But the whole time I was playing, I was like, this is okay. But that's it. Like, fidelity-wise, graphic-wise, it's okay. Like, I kept thinking back to last generation games, right? Like, I mean, I know these are heavy hitters, but like Red Dead looked way better. The Star Wars Battlefront games look on the Frostbite look way better, right? And those are last generation games.
Frostbite though is like,
well, it's out there. That technology is out there, right?
That's how it makes its money. It's what it's known for.
No, that's really good. So it's kind of a two-part question for me, because I do think you need to get rid of when I'm in a town, like for example, let's say I'm in Aquila. We've all been to Aquila City in Starfield. I want to go into the mineral store. I got to load into the mineral store. I got, you know what I mean? They need to get rid of that to be a true open world.
But okay, but in fairness, but that exists in Fallout.
Yeah, but Fallout's also 2015.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we're comparing it. If you're comparing Bethesda to Bethesda, that's just what Bethesda does.
Yeah, and I think they can do better. Like
because that was my
Red Dead Redemption 2, which I think is one of the best open worlds out there.
Yeah,
has none of that. You walk in and out of stores seamlessly. There are certain loading screens when you go into like certain dungeon events or certain, and that's fine. But it
here's the thing though. We just came from looking at Fallout 4. Starfield is a big step up. It's not Fallout. It has the feel of the Bethesda, but even look at how smooth the gunplay is. Like they did a great job with gunplay and weapons and making it feel so smooth. And there are times when you're on planets and you're like, wow, look at the sunset, or wow, look at stuff looks good, or you're in space. Space looks fantastic.
They definitely had some great landscape shots. I mean, I think I took some. Well, I know I took some screenshots and like sent them to you guys and stuff. They had their moments of looking good, and it does have smooth gunplay. Like it ran smooth. But this is the thing I noticed, especially going like planet to planet and kind of exploring as much as I possibly could. I felt like the assets they had to create buildings and bases and outposts were not as large as I liked. I started probably halfway through my playthrough noticing like, oh, that's the same trash can I've seen.
Yeah,
8,000 times.
that's a real issue.
same...
To Jordan's point, where he said they handcrafted they built Fallout 4. You don't experience that like you do in Starfield. In Starfield,
there's the same platform. It goes up to the right. Like they use that same base footprint a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Graphics for me are like. They're like the frosting or the icing.
I hate
right?
frosting.
Like the cake is the gameplay, right? Like I agree. I think they need to get back to like handcrafted curating their own content like they did in Fallout 4. I think they got to figure out how to get rid of a lot of those loading screens, especially in Starfield with the going from like loading from one building to another, then loading to your ship, then loading to another planet. Like,
that's
way too much.
That is too much. One load out, one load in is fine. But like,
I mean, if you remember, David, back in the first Destiny, how frustrating it was to go to orbit and then to go to another planet, and then in Destiny 2 they announced that you can go from planet to planet, and it was like, oh, it was one of the greatest features.
In fairness, Destiny advertised no loading screens.
Well, okay, that was someone's. I don't know if someone said it down along the line
because it was a video of your plane flying. They're like, that's not a loading screen. Well, that's still a loading screen. It's just not a traditional. It's because there's not a bar going across the bottom loading. Still, they like semantic out.
Yeah, because I remember it was like an interview and they talked about like how they're loading. Yeah,
you're like, whoa, seamless. Wow, no loading screens.
So,
no, it's still.
But no, yeah. So that going back to that original question, I mean, if the game has phenomenal graphics, I do think that can help immerse you in. But I think the initial gameplay mechanics got to be there, and I think the experience of the game has to be there. And
here's the thing:
we're going to use loading because it's the most common thing that everybody notices. Is there is too much loading in Starfield, and
it's a world. I loved the story. I loved what they did with time, and that's why I still say we're at 1.0 of this. I'm going to be excited to see what our expansions like when they come. What is it? Shattered? What is it? Shattered?
Well, I'm interested to see. I know Shattered Space has probably been in development since the game came out, but I'm curious to see like, okay, look, this is what these are the top 3 things that the players are complaining about. Will they take that and kind of try and do something with Shattered Space?
Now, let me ask you this, because a lot of people are like, we need an Elder Scrolls show. I actually don't think because Fallout is having such a huge success. I actually think Elder Scrolls is harder than people realize. I think Starfield, you could maybe that's not true, because Starfield would be just as hard because it would just be like every other sci-fi.
The thing Expanse, Elder Scrolls is fantasy.
Yeah, the
Lord of
thing that
Rings,
makes Fallout, I think, easier to make good is because Fallout itself is so distinct. It has a distinct humor. It has a distinct style. It has distinct artwork and lore built into it, and so it's irreverent, and so that lends itself well to a copy in your TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a Starfield doesn't have that same irreverence. It doesn't have that. Like, can you think of like a culture in Starfield, a distinct culture that sets it apart? In Elder Scrolls, even like it's not the same as like Fallout. There's like a distinct style there to it.
Well, Fallout has, I mean, you can call it the secret sauce. I mean, it has Vault Tech, Vault Boy,
A masturbation.
Well, yeah, in the one show or in the one episode.
Yeah.
No, just like you said, the lore of everybody went into these underground vaults because of the nuclear apocalypse. The whole you know, after
1950s retro futuristic
the
vibe.
reason, like after World War II, like scientists didn't focus on, what is it, transistors. They focused on nuclear fusion, which is why we have all these, you know, crazy cars that can do all this stuff and these robots, but everything's stuck in like this 50s style because we didn't, you know. So anyway, Fallout, like you said, I mean, it has a very specific style to it, and Vault Boy and Vault Tech and all that stuff. Like it sets itself apart from every other post-apocalyptic.
Jonas Jerner says, now we can get all loading time in Elder Scrolls 6 and more bad graphics again. Jonas, just sounds like you hate Bethesda, bro. Like, that's it. Sounds like you hate Bethesda.
Okay, well, I want to point something out here on the video that we're watching right now. So this is my complaint. Look at the people models on this. Like the face, I mean, it's the Bethesda Dead Eyes, right? The face is just like meh. Their guns look good, the buildings look good, the environment's pretty decent. But I feel like this is where they struggle.
She's got good hands.
I mean,
yeah, but that's because it's a different style. So like, think about Red Dead Redemption. You go to a cutscene on this. Like when you're talking like this, it's a cutscene. These are not cutscenes. This is all in game.
But
well,
like
no, Red Dead
even Arthur,
had
when he's got his big
stuff,
sweet,
like it's,
when he's got his awesome beard, he's freaking awesome.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You know, like this is where I noticed it.
See,
so I
think
buildings was fun.
I think that criticism is fair and not incorrect. That it's not as good as other games, but I think it's overstated. I think it was overstated. Like, I think it's honestly not that big of a deal. Like that, but people made it a big deal as well.
Well, if there were other systems that didn't have problems in the game, the graphics wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, well, I think the number one
the graphics are an issue because
I think the number one is that loading time.
Yeah, loading times are.
It's not even the time because it's not that
severe.
long. It's just the amount of screens that you go through for sure. That's the biggest one. ZZ Shock, I think ZZ Shock is behind here, but he says, you think the half the WoW players subscribe to Game Pass also? I sincerely doubt it. I think if you did something on Game Pass, they would. If, for instance, if I have a subscription as a WoW player and Game Pass says, hey, you get 2 for the price of 1, you get your WoW subscription and Game Pass. Who doesn't? Like, you can't, and the deal is undeniable. So yeah, I absolutely do think they do. I don't know if they're going to do anything like that, but I think they could easily get half. I think they could get more than half. I think they could get 75% of people if it's enticing enough. With enough money, anyone will come. Captain Obvious said, I've seen this a couple times. Metro needs a show. See, Metro would have a distinct feel to it. For sure. Or BioShock. I mean, BioShock is like watching a show. BioShock's very similar to Fallout, though, but more fantastical, I want to say. More horror-esque.
More thought-provoking.
Yeah, more. Fallout's pretty thought-provoking.
Well, I mean, not like BioShock.
Yeah. Yeah. Last but not least here, Fitzy says it has a sexy guy with no nose. This is Fallout he's talking about. According to my wife, apparently if the nuclear apocalypse happens and I become a ghoul, my wife will still find me attractive. I mean, it's the half nose. It's the half nose that does it for you. Jordan the Man, Barbara Blake, thank you for joining me today. Everybody that's here, thanks for joining. Every Friday, we're going to be streaming, and then eventually we're going to move it to more frequently, and eventually my goal is every day. I used to do daily news shows, and that's the long-term goal here. Thank you guys for stopping by today. Appreciate you. We've dropped my name is X1 the Gamer. We drop Mondays. We drop videos Monday through Friday on this show about all things Xbox, just talking, hanging out. If you'd like to support us, you can become a member and get one of those sweet loyalty badges. You also get some sweet emotes. Become a member, support the show. Blake, playing anything this week? What are you playing?
Baldur's Gate, man. I'm addicted. That's
You have multiple games going on of that right now.
I have 200+ hour playthroughs going on right now.
Oh, that's it's
joke. All I do.
That's no joke. Jordan, you have the same? Jordan has multiple games of that as well.
Yeah, but I haven't been
Well,
playing.
you're big in on you're finishing up New Vegas.
Yeah, I think I can probably finish it tonight in the next little bit here, because I'm just right there at the end, and then I'll probably decide if I'll probably just jump into Fallout 4.
I would consider trying 76 with you. I'd consider it.
Well, yeah, if I mean, it's all on Game Pass, right? So we can download it and play it on the PC or the Xbox. But yeah, I mean, if I think Fallout 76 would be more fun if I had people to consistently play with. But yeah, I think I might just do Fallout 4. I think Fallout 4 is probably the better game.
Yeah. Fitzy says, great show. Really enjoyed having Blake and Jordan. Great format, good talking points. It's an open door. We're going to have different people all the time. Also, it's an open door for Blake and Jordan whenever they want to come on. Have you guys seen Kramer in Seinfeld when he gets the Merv Griffith show and people just walk into his house? That's my goal here. Like, this is the Merv Griffith show of Kramer.
Yeah.
Eventually, who is the guy, remember, that brings the eagle? He was that famous, like, animal dude. Anyways, the eagle, it's the squirrel, and then text George, and he's got stretched up faces. That's what's going to happen here. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging out today. Would love. We'll see you guys next Friday. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye bye now.